Welcome to The Relay, a podcast from Gulf Relay where we dive behind the scenes of our operations, teams, and industry.
Hi folks, Brett Hutchins here with an episode of Back to Basics. I've got a few little short stories to tell on this one. It's sponsored by Gulf Relay. We thank them for that. So I was asked about a month and a half ago to come into the office. I drive, I'm an owner-operator here. I was asked to come to the office and do some newer owner-operators that really don't have much out. They're great truck drivers, but they don't know how to run a business. I was asked to come in and help train them. I've been in business 39 years. That's what I do. So I agreed to do it, and here I am. As I was coming through the office, I met a young man. I'm walking through the office and I'm asking people what they did and what was their position here and how they, what they did for a living. So I met a young man, I won't call his name, a real nice young guy, and I asked him, what do you do here? He said, I'm just a salesman. And I said, just a salesman? I said, do you realize that in this greatest free market economy in the history of mankind, nothing happens until somebody sells something? And it's true, whether it's cornflakes or cars. If there's no market for it, there's no reason to manufacture it. If there's no reason to manufacture it, there's no reason to transport it. So nothing happens until somebody sells something. And then what happens? That's where we come in. From the C-class to the CSRs, from fleet managers, planners, the ladies and gentlemen in the office, collecting our money, paying our bills, and getting us paid, all of those technicians, the tire men, keep our trucks running. Everybody takes a part in what we do. I can't remember, did I leave anybody out? Oh yeah, the drivers. So yeah, that's when the drivers come in. Moving America, that's what we do. We pick it up and we move it. So I like to ask drivers when I talk to them, how are you with math? And most of them will say, oh, I'm okay, or well, I don't like it, or whatever the case may be. Well, in driving, what we don't realize is most of us drivers, we actually have about equivalent of about a Bachelor of Science degree in geometry and physics. You don't believe me? Watch this. So here's that math I promised you. As I said, most of us have equivalency of about a BS degree in geometry. And you think, how is that? Well, the dictionary says geometry, the short version, is the branch of math dealing with properties related to points, lines, and surfaces. And you go, points, lines, and surfaces? Well, that's what trucking's all about. I mean, here's a tractor, here's a trailer. There's another trailer and another, and we've got to back into that by this dock. Well, you've got a straight line back, a 45-degree angle, driver's side or blind side. You've got your 90-degree angle, driver's side or blind side. You've got angle of approach to get that big thing in there. You've got angle of departure to get that thing out of there without hitting him or him. So geometry, we do it all the time. What about physics? Well, let's look at the physics. The short version of physics is the branch of science concerned with energy, momentum, and matter. Energy and momentum, well, that's truck driving. We've got energy and momentum taking us up those are hills. We've got to control the momentum going down those hills. All the time working around these things, curves. So we're carrying the mass up, we're controlling momentum, all the while negotiating the curves on all kinds of surfaces. And that's one of the definitions, surfaces. So think about the surfaces we got to control this on. Concrete, asphalt, chip rock, gravel, grass, ice, snow, mud, you name it. If there's any other surface in the United States, we've been on it. If we hadn't been on it, we're going on it. So we're carrying the mass, controlling our momentum, taking our energy up, controlling safely momentum down, negotiating these. We got all the geometry and physics covered, but what about the easy math? Add, subtract, multiply, divide, and percentages. Well, let's just see how we do there. So here's the easier math that I was telling you about. It's a driver comparison, driver A and driver B. Now, you have to assume both drivers drive the same truck on the same route. They both drive 2,000 miles a week. Driver A pays $4 a gallon for fuel. So does driver B. Driver A averages 6.2 miles per gallon. Driver B averages 8.2 miles per gallon. So driver A, 2,000 miles, 6.2, he uses 322 gallons a week. Driver B at 8.2, he uses 243 gallons a week. That's a difference of 79 gallons. So the 79 gallons that he saved by obtaining that kind of miles per gallon saved him $315 per week. Cost him $315 per week. So at the end of 52 weeks down the road, if they drive everything's comparable, driver B takes home in his pocket $16,364 more than driver A, just from getting 2 miles per gallon better fuel. So I know you're saying, oh, come on, Brett, nobody drives 52 weeks out of the year. Okay, so take 2 months off, go on vacation, y'all go wherever you need to go. 46 weeks, you save $14,476. So any way you look at it, if you can optimize your fuel economy, in other words, this is very realistic. I see it all the time, and I see quite a bit less than that on some drivers. This is very realistic because I do it all the time. I know it can be done. I drive a 19 Mac. I run that all the time. So get right back with you. So you say, Brett, how in the world do you run 8.2 miles per gallon? Well, I do it all the time. So here's the thing drivers got to understand. If you don't control your idle percentage, you cannot control your miles per gallon. Just don't work like that. If you Google it, you'll see anywhere from 1 to 2.5 gallons per hour, most trucks at idling. So let's just keep it simple and say it's a gallon an hour. Well, we know at high idle it's probably 2.5 to 3 gallons an hour. Let's just keep it simple. 1 gallon an hour at $4 a gallon, and you idle for 12 hours. That's $48. $48 times 25 working days. If you work that many, if you don't, just reduce that number times that. This equals $1,200 a month. So that's $1,200 a month you spend just in idling. Okay, idling percentage controls miles per gallon. If you're not controlling that, you're not controlling your paycheck. It's that simple. So that's $1,200 a month just in idle time. Now let's see what DEF on the Yard does for us. Okay, so a lot of companies will offer you the ability to get DEF on the Yard. Well, I call all the drivers that I talk to, and I asked them, I said, one of my first questions is, do you know how much DEF on the Yard is? And I'm shocked when they tell me no. So I know that our people tell them that in the beginning, but whether they forget about it or what, I don't know. But so here's the bottom line though. DEF on our yard is $2.50 a gallon, okay? If you run like I do, you're gonna use about 20 gallons of DEF a week. A lot of you are going to use more than that. Very few of you use less than that. If you go to Love's and buy DEF, so that's $50, $2.50, 20 gallons, $50. $4 a gallon at Love's. That's if you find it on sale and you trick yourself into finding a Love's that'll sell it for that. $80. So you got a $30 savings per week. That's with one tank of DEF. $30 savings a week, 30 times 4.3 weeks, $129 a month. 129 times 12, $1,548 a year. And you think, oh man, $1,500, I mean, that ain't no savings. Well, okay, so do that. If you're gonna drive for the next 10 years, go buy a four-wheeler. Okay, $15,480 you save just by buying your DEF on the yard. You gotta buy DEF. Why would you go anywhere else to buy it? Buy it the cheapest place you can possibly get it. If your company offers it, buy it on the yard. So folks, to wrap up our little math session, the driver comparison, like say, this is out there all over the place. I see it all the time. I know you're capable of doing that. Once again, I can't stress enough. If you don't control your idle percentage, you cannot possibly control miles per gallon. That puts you in a certain category. If you control your idle percentage, control your speed. Remember, speed kills people and profits. I promise you, there's a reason why those Swift trucks are turned down to 65. I guarantee you there's a reason for that. Y'all know what it is. If you're rolling 65, you're getting way better fuel mileage than if you're rolling 75. Slow it down, control your idle percentage, buy your def on the yard. All those things will help you be a more efficient driver, especially as an owner-operator. But hey, company guys, we want you doing it too. Remember, folks, this is 2023. It's not 2020. There's not freight all over the place. We have to take every load that we take and stretch every dollar we can out of it. This is the way you do that. You have to control your expenses as an owner-operator. You only have two expenses, fixed and variable. Your fixed expenses, they're fixed. There's nothing you can do about that. Your variable expense, fuel, def, you can control all that. So y'all start controlling your expenses. Get it together, 2023, drive safe out there. Be careful.